Hey guys, Matt from Wolverine Nation here. Today we got a new product. We got Weller's new tie rods and tie rod ends that I'm going to be installing on my X2. These are available for X2, X4. Basically, I'm going to show you how to install them and also the differences between stock and theirs. And so basically, I pulled my wheel off. Changed several of these on the trail. But I did pull the wheel off so you can see a little better. But basically, you got this boot, and it has, as you can see, like a metal press clamp on it. You can usually get that off with a pair of needle nose or jam a screwdriver in it to loosen it up, and then it'll pull back. On this end, you just have a squeeze clamp, pull that off. So basically, you want to get your boot out of the way. Then you're going to pull your cotter pin out of the bottom of your tie rod end. Take your nut off. I believe it's 19 millimeter. Pulls right out of the spindle, and then you got a little ball that threads onto the steering rack right there. So on the trail, I've used channel locks. Work real good because you can get them on there because it's kind of tight back in there, and basically you just got to get a hammer or something with some leverage to bust it loose. I have a cut off 1.25 inch wrench actually that I used today. Got in there pretty good and was able to bust it loose. But that's how you pull the old one off. Here's the Weller setup that I'm going to be installing. It's actually, let me pull the here's the stock one versus Weller's. Pull the boot back here a little bit so you can see, but the stock ones are bend fairly easily. Like I said, I've bent 2 of them. I always keep a spare of the stock in my toolbox, in case I do bend one on the trail. But these look pretty stout, pretty heavy duty, real nice heavy heim joints. They're all machined aluminum, adjustable, and then you got this piece that screws onto your shaft, and then you got a clip there. You got to pull the pin, and that'll go through the end of the heim joint. So I'm going to get mounting this, and then I'll show you how it looks, show you what we go through to put it on. Okay, so I popped the C-clip out, pulled the pin. You can see the C-clip and the pin laying on the joint that goes on your steering rack. It does have a 10 millimeter Allen bolt, and you can see there's some nubs on the end that line up right with the grooves that are milled into the end of the rack. So basically what I'm going to do is line those up, as you can see, and then I'm going to put some red Loctite on that Allen bolt and go ahead and bolt that in there. Alright, so the next step, basically you're just going to take the heim out of the side that goes inward towards the rack, which was already out if you bolted the adapter to the rack. Put your pin back in. You can see you just slide it in there, and then there's your C-clip. Make sure you get it back in the groove. And then what I did was I actually tore apart, where's it at here? I tore apart my old tie rod and pulled the boot off of it. I did cut the end off of it because Weller's is a good bit thicker, the sleeve. So I cut the last tip off of it so it'll slide over. And then what I'll do is I usually use zip ties, they work great. And I'll put one on this rib and then on the end rib towards the rack. So I'm going to get this on and then get it bolted up, and then basically I'll do the other side, and then I'll show you guys how I line them up to get everything back square with your wheels and tires in the front, so you're pointing straight and going straight. So let me get it all back together here, show you what it looks like, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so the driver's side's all installed here. Basically what you want to do is you want to put your actual tie rod itself, you want to spin it on. It's a little bit of anti-seize there, but I put some anti-seize on it to keep everything moving nice and easy. But you want to make sure both heim joints are spun the whole way in, as you can see there and there. And then so basically once you get, you bolt your wheels and tires back up and you want to align it, you have two jam nuts, one on top and bottom. But basically, as you can see there, you just be able to adjust it that way. There you see everything moving. And then basically what you're going to do is just tighten up your jam nuts on both sides, one at the rack and one down here at the tie rod end, and then put your boot back over top of everything and zip tie it. But let me get the other side buttoned up, and then I'll give you show you how I align it. There's several different ways you can do it, but they're pretty sweet setup. They're nice and beefy, and like I said, they are brought to you by Weller Racing, made in the USA. Nice heavy duty, so I don't think I'm gonna have to carry any spares anymore here, but anyway, so there it is. And let me get the other side bolted up, and I'll show you guys how to line it up. Okay guys, so we got both tie rod ends installed. Another thing I wanted to show you is Weller's new sway bar links. They make them front and rear. They're nice and beefy, really well made, heavy duty. As you can see, they give you all the spacers and hardware, real clean, nice looking. They are adjustable compared. Here's the stock ones, pretty thin in comparison. But I can't say I've ever had any problems with the stock ones, but I figured while I was in here I'd go ahead and throw them on. But very nice product. Like I said, they sell them in a kit of 4, and they look really, really cool. But anyway, so this is just a way that I can show you guys that I use. It's real easy to line up your front end. Basically, I get concrete string tied off around the back, and I do have wheel spacers on the rear of my machine, so my back does stick out a little further than the front. But basically, you can use it as a parallel. Make sure your string touches the tire in the same spot on both sides, and also make sure that you have the same amount of air in all the tires. That way, you're not, everything's square. But not saying it's the most perfect way, but basically what you do, I tie it off to a jack stand in the front, and then move your jack stand in and out until it just touches, as you can see, just touches the front of that back tire in the same spot, and then bring it across the front. Then you can measure the front and the rear. I usually try to go to the furthest point, and then measure from front, and same thing, or the front and the rear, and make sure you get the same. Obviously, I have both jam nuts loose on the tie rod, so you just spin the center section to get it where you want it, to where it's the same front and back. So there's no toe on these. Run them parallel. And so got this side done. I'm going to tighten the jam nuts up, and then I'm going to push the boots back on, and I'm going to use zip ties to secure them, and we should be good to go. Let me get this tightened up, and I'll show you the finished product. There it is, all finished up. We lined the other side up the same way. Then I basically got in there with a tape measure and confirmed it. Measured from the front of the tire in the same space in the front, and the same thing I did in the rear. Tightened up the jam nuts. Put my boots back on. You can see. And there you have it. I don't know if you can see the Weller Racing logo on the front there, but they're pretty stout. Definitely won't be bending one of those. So we got the links in the front. I just got to pull the rear, put the links on the rear, the sway bar links. Obviously they'll go in place of these, so I'm going to do that tomorrow night. But I just wanted to give you guys a little review and show you the new product from Weller. And like I said, they are available at wellerracing.com, and there's more info and pricing on their website about the stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.